Hi there, it's Miss Fraser. I'm here to talk to you about historical fiction and the December book talks. Historical fiction is one of my favorite genres. It could be a surprise to some of my history teachers because history textbooks just don't seem to convey the relationships and the manners and the social conditions of the time quite like historical fiction. Historical fiction transports the reader to another time and place, and the writer balances research about the time, events, and culture with their imagination. So the first one I want to talk to you about is The Girl in the Blue Coat. Good one. It's by Monica Hess, and it's set in German-occupied 1943 Amsterdam, where Hanneke secretly smuggles goods on behalf of her undertaker boss. She's haunted by memories of her boyfriend boss who died 3 years earlier fighting the Germans, and Hanneke considers befriending the local Nazi enlisted men to conduct her black market deliveries, her way of undermining the enemy. But when one of her customers, Mrs. Jansen, asks her not for coffee, cigarettes, or nylons, but to help her find Miriam, a missing Jewish 15-year-old girl with a blue coat, who had been hiding in her house's secret cupboard, Hanneke has to consider whether she's up for the task. Petty smuggling is dangerous, but hiding and looking for hidden Jews is punishable by death. Complicating matters, Hanneke needs help from the underground resistance, and the more she looks for the missing girl, the more dangerous the situation is for everyone involved. The second one is Dead End in Norvelt by Jack Gantos. He's the guy who wrote the Joey Pigza books. In the small and growing smaller town of Norvelt, Pennsylvania, in 1962, Jack is looking forward to a summer playing baseball with his friends. Instead, he ends up grounded. His only opportunities to leave the house occurring when his elderly neighbor requires his assistance writing obituaries for the newspaper. To his surprise, he begins to look forward to his sessions as her scribe, and strange and wonderful adventures ensue, including 11-year-old Jack driving an agent car, a home operation on the kitchen table to stop his nosebleeds, frequent visits to the undertakers, and ultimately, a murder mystery. The next one is Dogs of War by Sheila Keenan, and this is a graphic novel, and it is stories about canine military heroes of World War I, World War II, and the Vietnam War. There are 3 fictional stories that are inspired by real military battles, and each story tells the remarkable adventure of a soldier and his service dog, and is rendered with fascinating and beautiful detail, bringing to life the faithful dogs who braved bombs, barrages, and battles to save the lives of countless soldiers. Unbound is a story about Grace, who is called to work in the big house as a slave girl, but the master and missus are very inhumane and heartless, and it makes her wonder why white people are allowed to own other people and separate families.
Good afternoon. That's inside of me.
Suddenly, Grace and her family must flee deep into the woods, where they brave deadly animals, slave patrollers, and the uncertainty of finding freedom. With candor and compassion, Annie Berg sheds light on a startling chapter of American history, the remarkable story of runaways who sought sanctuary in the Great Dismal Swamp, and creates a powerful testament to the right of every human to be free. I also have some quick picks. The first one is The Warden's Daughter. Ever wonder what life is like to be the daughter of a warden and live in a jail? Read Cammie's story. Bat Six is an annual softball game between 2 rivalrous teams of 6th grade girls. This year, the game explodes catastrophically in 1948 because of the prejudice surrounding 2 new girls who are different. The Storm Before Atlanta is set in 1863, where 10-year-old Jeremy plans to run away from the farm where he's an indentured servant and become he becomes a drummer boy for an army troop. And then Soldier Boys is by Dean Hughes, and it's about Dieter, who gets promoted into the German army at 15. And Chasing Lincoln's Killer, which is one of Mrs. Lecce's favorites, is a true story about the pursuit and capture of John Wilkes Booth. And the last one is Night Diary. It's one girl's search for home and her own identity. It's set in 1947 in India, where they have been freed from British rule and now are broken into two separate countries. Hopefully you found a book that you would like to read. If you do, come on down to the Learning Commons and check one out.